What's up, my busy bees? Welcome to part one of 3 videos about the insect order Hymenoptera. What are Hymenoptera? So last time we talked about Lepidoptera. Can you remember what those were? No cheating. You guessed it, moths and butterflies. This is going to be a 3-part series about my favorite insects. So let's get buzzing. Wasp, ants, and bees, but technically speaking, they're all wasp, with major differences in nesting behaviors, foraging behaviors, and diets. Behavior will be the dominant emphasis for these videos. Wasps are the grand species of all hymenopterans, stretching back as far as around 240 million years ago. Interestingly, the stinger wasn't always used for defensive purposes. In fact, in primitive wasps, it was actually an egg-laying organ used to penetrate down into materials to deposit their eggs. Some of these wasps still live today, and some are known as Ichneumon wasps. Wasps are not most people's favorite picnic friends next to yellow jackets, but they are very important to maintaining balance in ecosystems. They provide a free pest control service as they hunt insects to be fed to their larvae. Wasp diets are fascinating to me, at least, due to the fact that they start out as carnivores as larvae and then become nectivores as adults. The adults have an interesting relationship with the larvae because the larvae secrete droplets of sugar that the adults drink as their food source. The behavioral mechanisms of wasp are different across the many species of wasp. Some are solitary and some are highly eusocial and live in large colonies. All hymenopterans are very territorial and usually don't favor visitors, but are not always quick to sting right away. In fact, in my experiences with eusocial wasp and bees, they give signals to say more or less, "Hey, I see you're getting close to my nest and you're making me uncomfortable." How varies from species to species, but for paper wasp, they typically will unfold their wings and do a flapping motion with them, and if you are fully aware of them, most people would figure, okay, I need to back up, and usually the matter passes and they resume calm behaviors and their nest duties. When the warnings aren't taken or are misunderstood, they may elect to buzz you, so where they fly and kind of charge at you, but they don't sting you. But sometimes they do sting. While being stung is unpleasant, unless you're very allergic, it typically will swell up for about an hour or so, and typically goes down by the next day. I've been stung by many species of bees and wasps, as you can imagine, and my stings usually last no more than about 20 minutes at the longest. I suppose I'm just lucky. Before you get upset at the wasp or even the bees for stinging you, put yourself in their position. You're little and you have dozens to thousands of siblings you are taking care of, and along comes this big, scary creature near your nest, and all you're concerned with is protecting your babies. You'll go to great lengths to do so, violently if necessary. Now for a little wasp biology. Their nesting biology is fascinating because they collect both pulp from trees and clay to mesh into the structures we're all familiar with. They have a queen and workers, and in the fall, they have drones. Wasps will make nests in just about anywhere they can that is sheltered and dark. Unlike honeybees, the queen wasp will start the nest by gathering building materials, collecting food for herself, then the larvae, and only after she has a few adult workers, she will just become an egg layer. When the end of summer begins to approach, the behavior of the wasp begins to change due to the decreased amount of food for the larvae. So the adults are also starting to do without food, which is why they become more daring to approach people who have food or sugary drinks, because they're starving. So the nest shifts from expanding to rearing reproductive members for next spring. So what resources they still have are used to produce queen and drone wasp, which then go and mate. Interestingly, all wasp nests start producing reproductive members at the same time due to climatical triggers, so they all have reproductive members out mating at the same time. The queens and drones from the same nest go to different areas to mate with unrelated queens and drones to prevent inbreeding. Then, as fall rolls in, the nest members begin dying off, and the queens go and find places to hibernate to make it through the winter to start the cycle over in the spring. How can you help wasps? Well, not spraying them or their nest is a direct way to help them. If you do not favor their residence near where you are, consider putting up paper bags. These deter wasps from nesting in unwanted areas. You can leave out bowls of sugar water with rocks for wasps and also bees to land on while they drink, which may help reduce them from coming near your food and drinks. Planting nutritious flowers is always recommended. Reduce highly vibrating machinery if possible, especially if you know that a wasp nest is nearby. Wasps and bees are very sensitive to vibrations and can become angry if they are subjected to them. If they are in an unwanted area and are not a very large nest, consider relocating them. If nothing else, just try to coexist with them and learn to respect their boundaries, and usually you will find that there could potentially hardly ever be conflicts. This is not a guarantee that this will always be possible, but try nonetheless. That's all for this time on part 1, so buzz back for part 2 next week on ants. As always, don't hesitate to email on one of the social media platforms or on here if there is something you'd like to know more about. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell your friends and family about us. Now, buzz off.